Welcome back to the Rare Book Views channel, where hopefully I'm going to show you some rare books and share some thoughts on books and get your thoughts on books. This is where I normally say, if you could do me a favor, please subscribe. And I'm going to ask you for two favors today. I'm going to talk about classics to read at the holidays, and looking through my collection, I realized I really only have books about Christmas. I don't have anything about Hanukkah or any of the other holidays. So if you can suggest a classic that would be right for a different holiday, please tell me. I would love to broaden my mind and my collection. So books of the holidays. I love the Christmas holiday. I love all the stuff that goes with it, and I love reading. So naturally I have some book traditions, and I think there are some great classics to get into at Christmas time. And these are great books to read and enjoy the season. I think that this is a great present to give to someone if you're going to stay, now that that's something that we're doing again. If you travel to someone's house and you want to do a hostess gift or any kind of gift really for a book lover, I think these should be on your list. And classics. So I read a ton. I read a lot of books. I read fiction. I read nonfiction. I really enjoy the classics. I think, like most people, sometimes I find them a little hard going. A lot of them are written just in another time when people talked a different way, and it can be a little bit like trolling through the slides to try to understand the plot. So today I'm really only giving you easy ones, but I will let you know how easy they are. The first one I recommend is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. Amazing. And there is a very good Christmas scene in the book, and I think a ton of winter and snow and wearing gloves. So I think this is great for Christmas. I'm very lucky to have this copy. This is, suddenly I can't remember who is our publisher, University Press. This book came out in the mid 1800s, which is pretty early for the United States. Louisa May Alcott, her life is fascinating. If you ever get a chance to dig into her biography, go for it. Her parents were really progressive. She grew up hanging out with Thackeray and Emerson, so of course we're going to get some great books from her. She had an interesting life, and they say this is really modeled on her home upbringing. So her sisters are really sort of featured here, and it's just a great story. It came out originally in 2 volumes, I think Little and Brown, and this is, I believe, the first real trade edition in the United States. So you'll see these occasionally. They come in a couple different colors. All of this books that she wrote you can get in this format. I think I have about 8 of them, and this is great. There's gilt on the spine here. There is this gilt on the title, and in a slightly later edition you'll see it won't have this on the front cover, which makes sense. On your shelf you're going to see this one. So this is a little bit earlier and nicer. This is the fancy one. These are beautiful books. They have a title page. Well, they have this sort of patterned end paper, and then at the title page there is a frontispiece, which in this edition has the tissue here and then a beautiful illustration. So I feel like if you're going to read a classic, you want a nice copy like this. It feels good in your hand. It feels like you're doing something significant, really improving your intellect. I think do it this way. But of course you can get a paperback and it's the same story. Of course you can get a Kindle copy or an e-reader copy, and it'll be the same thing, right? It's the same reading. But I think get a nice copy, especially if you're going to give a gift. This, I think that this edition on eBay is going to be in the 50-ish range, give or take, and so someone special. The second book on my list is The Gift of the Magi. This is a great edition. I'm really lucky to have this one too. This has a dust jacket, and it's this paper that makes you think that this was made by hand. It's got threads of things in it. It's beautiful. And it's illustrated, which is nice to have for a gift edition or a special edition. It's got these beautiful illustrations. If you don't know the story, I don't want to give anything away, but when I was a kid, one of our Christmas traditions was to watch the Sesame Street Christmas special, and this story is featured in a Bert and Ernie reimagining or reboot of the story, and it's fantastic. So as an adult, reading the story is great. This is O. Henry, A True American. This is another one to add to your list of great American authors. Very easy read and a short story, so what's not to love? The last thing on my list is the fantastic Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I am also super lucky to have this. This is Arthur Rackham illustrated. This is a sought-after book, so I do not have a very fancy edition. I have the one with a huge chunk missing from the dust jacket. I'd love to upgrade this at some point. This one is, oh, I'm sorry, Gift of the Magi, British publisher. This one, which I really love, is George Harrap, and it actually has the old school pricing on the dust jacket from shillings. I think this is a great copy, so if you have a chance to find one, pick it up. That is going to be also probably in the 50 plus range. They're pretty rare, so if you can find one, it's more than the price. Arthur Rackham, this edition is probably 50 to 100. This time of year, it might be a little bit more expensive. It's a really nice hardcover, and sometimes I've seen this without the dust jacket. It's still nice. It's got a Christmas theme. There are 3 color illustrations in here, and the rest are black and white. This is a reprint. It's not as beautifully executed as some of the higher quality, more expensive versions, but you get the story. This also has, I love that the pages are pretty thick. I do not like a thin page. I don't want to see the text through a page when I'm reading it. So this feels like I'm not going to hurt it by reading it. I like to read it every year. So for the Christmas Carol, I think something slightly less fancy and that I can read every year is for me. If you want something super, super fancy, there are many editions of the Arthur Rackham illustrated books, and I'll put a link. I gave a tour to, I collect Arthur Rackham because I just think the illustrations are amazing, and it really adds to the experience of reading a classic. So I'll put a link to that video. You can see some more. All of these publishers have published most of his works. So you could find A Christmas Carol in a lot of different iterations, publishers, versions of his illustrations, and then also just a million different versions of A Christmas Carol. You can pick a brand new one up, I'm sure, at any bookstore this time of year. There's a great movie that I really enjoyed called The Man Who Invented Christmas, which is about Charles Dickens' life, and I want to believe it's all true. It's not, because The Christmas Carol, at its core, really is a ghost story, right? And if you watch my channel, you know I really love a ghost story or witches. So ghost story, I'm pretty much sold. In the movie, some ghosts visit him, and I think it's probably not true. But it is true that Charles Dickens did write this book to pay some bills. He was really under the gun and kind of pulled it out at the last minute. So the story about how he wrote the book and got it published that's featured in that movie is really fun. I mean, a movie about Christmas and a book production. What's not to love? I'll put the name of that movie so that you can find it. And I think that is obviously a very easy read. I usually read it a couple days before Christmas. I don't think, if you have some time to sit down, it is pretty fast read, but it takes me more than an hour. So I think that if you're in the thralls of Christmas prep, you might want to start it more than before Christmas Eve. When I was a kid, we would go to the midnight service at church, and you do start to wonder, what else am I going to do with this time? So I think reading that book that night is also a great tradition to start. And it's very readable, and it's kid-friendly, so you could have that with the whole family, and everyone could enjoy it. So those are my 3 big Christmas classics that are fun to read or give this time of year. If you have other ones that you like for Christmas, or like I said, any of the other holidays, please let me know, because I would love to have a reason to add another book to my collection, of course. And thank you for watching, and happy reading.